Hello, I'm Weave, and I bought a boat. And this video may span over a couple days, depending on how much time I have to do things and how long it takes me to do certain things. But what we are going to attempt to accomplish in this video, or in the next couple days, is we are going to inspect all the lines and probably replace them unless one's like really good or I don't know. I don't feel like it needs to be replaced. We're gonna do that. We're gonna try and come up with a rigging system that will allow me to single-handedly raise the mast and lower the mast. I have an idea for that, which requires me to run to some sort of outdoor rec hardware store kind of deal, pick up a couple things, which is what we're going to do right now. Okay, so we're here at Fleet Farm to pick up some hardware. I'm looking for some D-rings and some block and tackle so that I can make a rudimentary well, pulley system to aid in the raising of the mast. I'm just going to pick up probably 2 D-rings, maybe 4, just to have a couple extra for other things, and 4 block and tackle pulley devices. I'm probably using the wrong terms. And then we need to do some measurements and then do some math to determine how much leeway and distance I need for certain things, but let's get the hardware first. Alright, so we just got out of Fleet Farm. It didn't take too long. We're gonna head home and I'll show you what I got there. Alright, so we bought 6 of these spring D-clips and 2 block pulley eye thingies. The only downside is these are not adjustable, but I wanted 2 rope inserts just in case. But we can make that work one way, shape, or another. And the reason we went with the doubles and not a single is potentially, depending on how much mechanical force I need to assist with raising the mast manually by myself, having the ability to add more lines into the pulley system is going to reduce the amount of force I need to pull. However, it's going to increase the amount of distance I need to pull. So ideally, I won't need to use both of these, but I got 2 just in case. I'm actually thinking I'm only going to need 1, and in that 1, I will probably only end up using 1 wheel, but just in case, there you have it. Alright, so the next thing is to go through the lines and see what I need to replace. Probably going to be everything. And go ahead and replace those ropes, take the hardware off the old lines, take the hardware off the old lines and or put it on the new lines. Also, I noticed when I pulled the first line off when I did the jib halyard that the ends were not evenly they were not evenly melted together or secured together, so I'm going to have to go through and tighten that stuff up as well. Fun. Alright, so it's the next day, and we are going to deal with all the lines. And let's show you what and why I want to deal with them. Okay, so on purchase, the rope comes wrapped like this, which has these unfortunate kinks in the end that I want to unravel and get those kinks out and get it all nice and loose. Additionally, it might be hard to see, but the ends came like this. I actually had to melt this one together, but the inside of the rope is loose and down here, and I want to basically cut off maybe 1/4 of an inch to get that to a point where it's all sealed together, and hopefully that'll keep the insides from slipping. Now to get those ends all cleaned up, we have tape, scissors, and a lighter. The idea is to wrap the tape around to keep everything bound together nice and tightly, clip, and melt. Let's give it a try. Alright. Apply the tape around. Nice and firmly. It may have been too much tape, but it's a learning experience for everyone. Clip it right at the end of the tape. And do some melting. It looks like that did a pretty good job. Let's take the tape off and see how it did. Duct tape might not have been the greatest for this, but see, that did really well. It's all melted next to each other. I probably could have cut it a little bit before the tape to allow for a little bubbling, but that's a nice little hard cap. So we can do the end and other end and move on to all of the other rope. Well, that end didn't turn out as well, but it should hold. More reason to get the even cut with the tape part. Now, the rest of the rope is still rolled up, so we're going to take that outside actually, unravel it, whip it out a bit to kind of break up those kinks, and roll it back up, bring it inside, and do those ends. Alright, we got all the ropes unfurled and wound up in a nice pattern to get most of the kinks out. Now we're going to snip the ends on the rest of the ropes. So I just went through all the lines and, well, the ones I brought home with me, and took the hardware off of them and put them on my new ropes to be my replacement lines. The only nothing really interesting. The line that was being used for the main halyard was starting to get frayed down towards the end of the line, so I definitely wanted to replace that one. The main sheet wasn't bad, but it was getting kind of stiff and wanted to replace it before it started getting brittle and started fraying on me. The jib sheets was really stiff and old. It didn't seem like it had a lot of wear and tear on it, but it definitely felt like it had been sitting for a while, like it hadn't been used, and when things tend to sit for long periods of time, they tend to break down and seem fine, but when you go to use them, they start fraying immediately or breaking as soon as you use them. The other reason I wanted to replace it was when I looked at it initially, and granted I haven't had it on the haven't raised the jib sail yet, but just looking at the length of the jib sheet and where the mast was and where the cleats are for it, just felt really short, kind of to the point where if the jib was going out towards port, the port side, the starboard jib sheet would not be long enough to stay in the cleat while letting me have a full furl on the, I think it's called a furl, full furl on the jib sheet. So I replaced it with one of my 50 footers, which is going to be far too long because it's going to mean I have 25 feet per side on a 16-foot long boat or sailboat. So that'll get trimmed down eventually, but I'm leaving it as is for now until I can actually get it up and have some wind blowing against it, and then I'll probably make some mental notes or markers to see how far out I want to cut it with some slack, just in case. But we are going to end here for the day, yesterday and today. In the next video we will get to the boat and we'll put the lines back on. We'll test our method for hoisting the main, no, the only mast, solo, and hopefully if the wind's not too strong we will give the sails a test ride up the mast to just make sure everything's moving properly before we go and put it in the water. As far as putting it in the water, we want to put it in the water with the mast up but without the sails to make sure that it's retaining water, and then if it's not leaking or sinking immediately, then we will raise the sails and go for a little test drive. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.